Hello everyone, welcome once again to the vast and ominous comic book vault. I'm Captain Logan.
And I am the Real Manos.
Manos, thanks for joining me. Today we're going to be talking about the first arc of the New 52 Justice League, issues 1 to 6 by Geoff Johns and Jim Lee. It just ended last week, and I'm itching to talk about it. Manos, are you ready?
I am set.
Okay, so as we all know, this is Manos' favorite thing ever.
Yeah, next to listening to people, like, scratch on chalkboards.
So without just bashing it like crazy, and I'm not going to say that I didn't enjoy some things about this. Let's go ahead and start off with just the immediate things that don't really work. I'll tell you my biggest problem with the way Geoff Johns wrote this is just that it takes about 30 seconds to read each issue.
Yes, I would say so. It was easily the quickest read I personally had every week. And, I mean, it would be so weird to, like, read that up against, like, maybe a Scott Snyder American Vampire, or
Spawn.
Spawn, oh man, Spawn's like 3 times as long to read.
Doesn't that take you about 35 minutes every time?
It did, yeah.
And I'm not complaining. The first thing when that book came out that I said was, I'm spending $2.99 on something that like, I feel like I'm getting almost, $5.99 out of.
Yeah.
Because it takes so long to read it.
Oh, I know. I mean, Spawn makes a Bendis book look like a Liefeld book. There's just so much dialogue.
That's not to say that very much always happens in one of those issues, but there is at least a lot of material to read.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes. You get your $3 worth on that thing.
Did you not find yourself, like, staring at artwork in this just to try to get your $3.99? Like at least Jim Lee's art is amazing.
Jim Lee's art is always beautiful, and his work on this was just fantastic. And, he got some grief for lateness on the last couple of his projects. But, he kept up on deadlines for the most part. And the work he was turning out wasn't, like, rushed at all. I mean, it's just every page was beautiful in this book. The fight scenes were really well done. There was fantastic little details in all the scenes. Jim Lee is just, I don't know, he's just Jim Lee. He hasn't slowed down as far as, like, quality at all. If anything, Jim Lee of today is better than the Jim Lee of '92 or something like that.
And I would go as far as to say that, regardless of the reservations I have about this, and some plot stuff, and admittedly some major character stuff, especially with Batman, I still would recommend this just for the artwork alone. I kind of can't imagine reading anything in the 52 and not having this just for the tone it's set with the artwork. And so I think they were right to put this out first.
Yeah, I still think that maybe it should have been Action Comics first.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
That's always
that's fair. I didn't even think of that.
But if it wasn't Action Comics, it should have been Justice League. But it's interesting how both Action and Justice League took the approaches of going back in time to fill in history, where I think I thought it's the only books that did that out of the 52. You read more than I did.
I think so. I think they are the only books that did that.
Yeah, where everybody else was, like, in the present.
Because even Supergirl, not knowing anything about what's going on and popping up randomly, was even in the present.
Yeah. So I don't know. I almost wish they had done this for all their books.
I wish they'd done it for more of them, and I kind of wish that they would stay in it longer. I was pretty disappointed, I've got to say, when I got to the end of this and I realized that they were going to jump back ahead real quick. I'm
curious to see how different everything is not going to be. I feel like visually everything is going to be the same. Like, wow, you mean after all these things these characters have gone through, they still look the exact same way? That's one of the things. DC has done this before, obviously, with the Crisis of Infinite Earths, and what they did back then was, in a lot of cases, like especially Batman, like they had distinct different looks for some of their characters. Like Batman in Frank Miller's Year One, you know, he had a different look than he had in the present issues. You know, where he had the different symbol, his belt was different. You know, his ears were shorter on the mask. You know, versus, you know, the very clear blue and gray and the yellow symbol and stuff like that. And I don't see them doing that with this. Like,
no, I don't either. And honestly, within that 5-year time period, excuse me, that's exactly when changes like that should happen. And so you just know that sometime down the road, in a few months or a year, they'll change some costumes, and you know, and no time will have passed.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes.
I'm just saying. I mean, like I think that changes don't always get made with stuff like this due to practicality of the storytelling, so much as just we want a different costume now to, you know, put on covers and sell some books. I don't know. I feel like I'm hitting this really hard as far as that sort of stuff goes, but I do feel like that this whole story was really just kind of there to get a bunch of new people who weren't reading comics into comics.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is that bad? Was it unsuccessful at it? Those are my questions.
It was successful. It was successful in what it was designed to do, and that was sell books.
Yeah, and it did that. It went into 5 printings.
And if you know, the business in show business is concerned, it's a success. Is it better than Grant Morrison's first arc on his Justice League run? No. But
is it better than what he's doing right now with Action? No.
No. But, you know, it made tons of money, so then it's going to be viewed as, you know, this huge success. Will the story be remembered?
No.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I'm having a hard time remembering it now.
Yeah, I probably should have.
I'm sorry, that's mean. I hate to be like that. There's some great fight sequences, there's some fun moments, but overall, the story is a cookie cutter thing to get these characters together and make something called the Justice League.
Yeah. There are some hints at neat stuff. Like,
there are a lot of hints at neat stuff. I agree with you.
Like, I like the protesters protesting Wonder Woman. That's something I wish DC would do a little bit more with that character, actually, is, you know what, and actually I think it was Greg Rucka who did this when he was writing the book. It's like, you know, a character like Wonder Woman was in our real life, she would not be loved by everybody. There would be almost as many people who hated her as people who would love her. And we kind of, I don't know, they never really, you know, toy around with that idea. And,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, I mean, she would probably be constantly, like, protested wherever she would speak and do events and stuff like that. And, you know, I really like that touch. But, you know, that was only just, you know, in the introduction of the character. Then we jump into the action.
The more I'm thinking about this, the more I think I would have been more okay with the whole idea of let's use this book as a launching pad to get people to read our other books. Had they had more moments like the Wonder Woman moment in the middle of issue 3 where she's buying ice cream.
Yeah.
I think that's my favorite moment in the whole thing, and I know that sounds really silly, but it's a really cool character moment, and it made me want to read more of her. She has this kind of fun little human moment where she doesn't really get the society, and we're thinking about the little things, you know, where it's like, yeah, ice cream is a pretty freaking awesome invention, isn't it? You know, and I like that. It made me think about all the other characters that are all being put together, and whether or not, if I hadn't already made my pull list decisions, if I was making it based on this, would I have bought other people's books based on what they did in this? That made me want to read Wonder Woman, but it didn't really make me want to read Batman. It didn't really make me want to read Green Lantern. So, what do you think of that?
That was actually the best I'd seen Johns write Wonder Woman. I've never considered him really good at writing the character. I've never really cared much for his Batman and his Wonder Woman. I always thought he did a better job with Superman, and of course he excels at you know, the Lantern guys and, you know, Flash and stuff like that. You know, the second tier Justice and Superman and the second tier DC heroes. But I've never really considered him, like, you know, the best at, you know, Batman and Wonder Woman. Like, just few pages of his Wonder Woman was really good, and it did make me wish, like, oh man, maybe, I don't know, I've been thinking about it. It's like when we were talking about doing this, and I wouldn't have minded seeing, like, him do, like, maybe, like, an arc, like, maybe the first arc of Wonder Woman, like, sort of her beginnings, written by him. I'm beginning to wonder if he has an interesting voice for this character. Because I don't know, he's written her in glimpses, and I've never really been too impressed. But this kind of made me think that, he had some, small insight to the character.
I think it's interesting that part popped for you also, because I thought I was probably alone on that.
No. Well, I'm pretty much a big Wonder Woman fan. Actually,
what's funny about it is I'm not, and that was the moment that popped most for me.
Yeah. Well, that says a lot then.
I think that says something. Yeah.
My favorite moment in the ice cream scene actually was when she compliments the guy running the stand on his creations, like not realizing that I just bought this crap from a factory and I'm selling it. Yes, I didn't invent ice cream.
You should be proud of this achievement. I'm like, that's hilarious.
Yeah. It's like there's a guy like down the street selling the same overpriced crap. But I have to say I dug. Let's see. I don't know. I like Wonder Woman a lot in this, and I think his treatment of. What did you think of his treatment of Batman?
I thought his Batman was all over the place.
It was.
At no point did I feel like the character I read on one page was the same as the character I read on the next page. I know that's a really harsh criticism, but you've got Batman acting like he's trying to be all dark and stealthy in the first issue, kind of, and then later on he reveals his identity to Green Lantern, and then he's walking around with his mask off. That's not Batman. I don't know. I had a really tough time with that.
It was rather inconsistent. I mean,
really tough time with that.
Is the Frank Miller Year One story supposed to be still canon in this universe?
See, I'm trying to figure out if somebody else asked me that the other day or if you asked me that the other day, because I've been trying to wrap my brain around that. I don't know.
And here's the thing, like, if that's still canon, then what, is this like a week after Year One?
Yeah, exactly.
Is that supposed to be the same Batman?
Well, you get the sense here that he's been doing this for a lot longer than they have.
Yeah. And I know some of them.
I think DC's kind of come out and said that.
Yeah, I don't know. That's the problem with this new timeline they've devised. I don't think it. I don't know. I don't think it works as well as. It's funny. The pre-crisis timeline they worked out. I mean, even though they were kind of sort of playing by ear then too, I think it made more sense. At least to me when I was reading it. Because that's when I really got into DC, was post-crisis, and especially Zero Hour. Zero Hour really, for me, cemented, me being a DC fan. And I don't know, it doesn't. It seems like they're using bits of that playbook, but I don't know. Sometimes it's fairly inconsistent in the way they put together, and I guess this story will always be, I guess, the 52 story.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned. This is kind of like all the 52 books kind of revolved around this. Was Justice League #1 and, the first umpteen issues. What was it, 6, 7 issues?
6, yeah. Of course, what's weird about it is that you say all of 52, but it's pretty much the ones that they devised after they came up with the idea for the 52. Then you've got the other separate ones that feel much more like they were in old DC continuity. We've got at least 5 or 6 of those. Mm-hmm. You can't really say that Batwoman feels that much like it's in New 52. It's as far as I know, been mostly about stuff they did before. Resurrection Man pretty much went where Resurrection Man left off, and Green Lantern's in a bubble. So I'd say you're right about maybe half of them.
Mm-hmm. And I was just let's see. No, I don't want to go too far off into DC 52 stuff.
Sure. I knew we were going to bring ourselves in.
That's the thing. It's impossible to talk about the story arc without talking about the whole 52 scheme.
Yeah, it really is. Well, because it was obviously devised out of that. It wasn't a couple of guys sitting down saying what story can we tell about the Justice League. And the thing about it is, I feel like it's too. It ends up being too stock and too easy to call because it's got an agenda. where it doesn't feel like it's trying to do like the origin of the Justice League in a way that we've never seen it before. Like, this is pretty typical, I think. I mean, it's kind of what I would expect. You know, you have a big threat, and you have a lot of the superhumans who all get together to fight it, and they all resist being a team, but then they have to be a team, and then at the end, somebody names them. I mean, like, that's the formula. It's not much different than every other origin for the Justice League, or frankly, a lot of other superhero teams that I've seen. Avengers has a similar origin a lot of the time, and I think that except for the fact that they get along a lot more, or they don't get along as well in this, I feel like this isn't all that different from what they did even in the Justice League series, in the animated show.
Yeah, that's right.
It's always got to be aliens from some other place.
Aliens is always a good thing to get your superheroes together. The Avengers movie is going to be probably doing it.
Oh, we know it's doing it. We don't know we know it's aliens. Yeah.
And the Grant Morrison storyline did aliens. I'm
not saying you can't do it that way. I'm just saying that I didn't feel like there was enough
it
else.
Just seems the easy. It's the easy go-to. I really like Keith Griffin's Justice League one. Where we watch them kind of assemble, and they don't like anybody. Nobody in that team liked anybody. And it gave us some wonderful moments between Batman and Guy Gardner, Green Lantern.
I don't know why that's a relationship that always works for me. I don't like Guy Gardner, but you put him up against Batman, and he's always funny.
Because it's hilarious.
Yeah.
He doesn't take. Well, I don't know. I don't want to say he doesn't respect Batman.
Right.
Most of the other superheroes do. I think that's the thing. He's afraid of him, which is hilarious. He's got the power ring.
And he's intimidated by Batman.
But one of my favorite Batman moments, actually, is in Keith Griffin's Justice League, where they're all squabbling and fighting and throwing fistfights when Batman and Dr. Fate walk in. And Dr. Fate is about to do something with his magic to stop them. And Batman says to him, "Don't worry, I'll handle it." And all he does is walk through this fight, and all these more powerful characters just stop as he's getting to them.
That's hilarious.
And it's just a guy in a cape. And they're all scared of him, and he tells Guy to stand down. Now, Guy hates him, but he stands down because he's scared of him.
What did you think of them drawing attention to that in this, where everybody freaks out whenever they figure out that Batman doesn't have superpowers?
I did like that. It's actually one of the few moments with the Hal Jordan Green Lantern that I liked, where he couldn't believe that he was just a guy with all this talk.
I did like when he said he thought he was a vampire.
Yeah, and I
Maybe
don't know.
It was Flash who said that. I forget, but that was
when
funny.
Someone like that reacts that way, it makes Batman seem all the more awesome. And it's not as good as, let's say, Morrison's Justice League. I think it was issue 4 or 3, when they have all the Justice League members captured except Batman, and the leader thinks, it's ridiculous that the others the leader of the bad guys was getting really frustrated that some of his teammates were getting worried and were getting excited to go find him, and he just starts screaming, "He's just a man!" And as he's screaming, there's a close-up of Superman, who's imprisoned and shackled and at a low moment, and as he's listening to him, he's smiling. Because he knows, no, he's not just a man. That's actually one of my favorite Justice League moments, actually. And they're both Batman moments. But that's just me, I guess.
But yeah, I didn't really think that Batman in this really worked very well. I also thought it was, I was trying to wrap my brain around this because he takes his mask off and reveals himself to Green Lantern, which is, I mean, it's a character moment. There's certainly a character arc happening between them there. I don't know how well it's handled, but Johns is trying to do something with that. I just don't think that, I don't personally care for the fact that it ended with Batman taking his mask off. But then, that's used as kind of a plot point because then Batman's missing his mask. Not like he's worried about it, but he's which is strange. But he's missing his mask out in the middle of the street where anybody can see him.
Yeah.
And then because I know everyone's running in terror, but it seems like somebody could see him. And then he goes to World or whatever. And he doesn't have his mask. I don't know if you caught this. He rescues Superman, which I thought was handled way too easily. I think it was really easy for him to rescue Superman.
Mm-hmm.
And then he comes back, and suddenly he's wearing his mask again.
Maybe he had it in his belt.
Suddenly why didn't he put it back on while he was in World then? Like that's what I'm saying. It's like they made a big deal out of it at the end of that issue, because you get to the end of 5 and it's this big full page spread of him not having his mask on. That's a big deal. And then a couple pages into 6, when he comes back to Earth, he's wearing it again. It's like a panel, he doesn't have it, and then he's got it. And I'm like, I thought, where was it? And if he had it, he should have put it on. I don't mean to make a big deal out of the mask. I just think that it was lazy, is all I'm saying.
That's a good point. I actually hadn't even thought about that. That's actually pretty good.
Call that a nitpick if you want to, but I felt like that the art was making a really big deal out of the fact that we were seeing Batman without a mask, and then all of a sudden there it is.
Do you consider this story sort of a buddy cop story between Batman and Green Lantern?
Yeah, in a forced one at that.
Yeah. Because I was thinking about it, it's like, I guess they're the kind of focus of the story, instead of the whole team or building around Superman, which sometimes they do.
Okay, I'm looking at this. This is why it was weird. He's not, I'm sorry, I'm fixated on this. He's not, I'm admitting that this is ridiculous that I'm fixated on this. He's not wearing it. Then he goes in a boom tube, and as he's coming out of the boom tube, he's wearing it.
So, in the middle of that...
While he was jumping through space, he was putting it on.
He could have put it on, around Jupiter.
Is this a fair criticism? I think so. Anyway. One thing I was also very perplexed by, and I know that you're not interested in not reading Aquaman, but I was very perplexed by the fact that I love Jeff Johns' Aquaman in the Aquaman book, and I hated him here. And it was still Jeff Johns writing him. He seemed like two entirely different characters, and he was totally a jerk in this.
Isn't that weird? Because I had this feeling about Hal Jordan, because he's obnoxious in this story. He's actually a lot like Guy Gardner, except I don't like him. You know what I mean? And
right.
I don't think I haven't been.
I don't generally like Guy Gardner either, but yeah.
But the joke is he's a jerk. And you sort of like him in spite of all that. But Jordan in this story is very unlikable, I find. And I don't think he's written that way generally by Johns. I mean,
yeah, me neither.
And, I think he writes him the classic hero way. And
I could see maybe...
I guess this is him being sort of the young, brash...
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. Maybe the argument is that being on the team for 5 years matures them all. I guess. Maybe.
But I don't know. It's just.
But I'm just saying that for this one story, trying to read it like a standalone thing, some of them were not fun to look at.
I got to tell you, I think it was issue 4, I stopped reading Hal Jordan's dialogue. I did. I'm not kidding. I stopped reading it.
But that takes a 30-second read down to a 15-second read.
Yeah, it did. I just got so fed up with him. I just stopped reading his dialogue. It's like, hey, that's great. I can just not listen to him.
How did you feel about Cyborg?
He's okay. I don't know. It's just he's never a character that's really excited me. And. Here's the thing. There's a weird precedent actually for this because Cyborg joined the Justice League in the '80s in the Super Friends cartoon.
Oh yeah,
and that's the instant. That's the thing that hit me instantly when I heard that he was joining the team, and now he's going to have always been in the team.
Yeah, that's strange.
I'm not sure if I like that. I like the idea of him joining. I always thought that Titans was a good training ground for Justice League. And Dick Grayson, when he was pretending he was Batman, was in the Justice League, and Donna Troy was in the Justice League. I always thought Starfire would be a cool Justice League member.
I'm not complaining necessarily that he's here. I don't understand certain. I don't understand DC's fixation. We got to have Cyborg in the Justice League, but and a lot of people are suggesting that it's just because they feel like they have to have an African American there.
That's true, and it's not gonna be Jon Stewart because Hal Jordan is the guy right now.
Yeah, heaven forbid.
Heaven forbid it's anybody else besides.
I don't get that. Yeah, exactly. Because that would be the easy way out there. If they really have to have an African American person, because at least Green Lantern is usually on the Justice League. But anyway, I don't know. I thought Cyborg had like the most definitive character arc in this. I felt like in a lot of ways it was kind of more his story than anybody else's. Weirdly, just because it was about the formation of the Justice League more than it was about any individual characters. And then he's got this whole side thing with, trying to build a football career and his dad not caring about football. And I found all that pretty typical.
Yeah.
And I think what I didn't care for with the ending, and forgive me, this is spoilers. I'll put a spoiler warning in the title. But I felt like the ending, not that I found Cyborg obnoxious or anything, but I really did feel like it was a little bit like Wesley Crusher Saves the Enterprise. And I say that anytime you have, that's my catchphrase for any time you have a teenage character who bails a bunch of adult characters that are supposed to know what they're doing out, just by being at the right place at the right time and hitting the right button. I feel like that's exactly what we had here. He's got this new technology. He doesn't know anything about it. He can't possibly know what he's doing and how to use it. And he saves everybody because he's got the right technology on his person at that moment.
Yeah.
Wesley Crusher saves the Enterprise, and he gets to be on the Justice League simply because he's got something that looks kind of like a costume, and he was there and he saved everybody. And I really didn't care for the thing at the end where they're all standing on the stage, and he's like, I don't even deserve to be here. And I'm like, I hate it when people have that kind of that kind of self-deprecating thing sometimes, because it's like yeah, did you not catch the fact that you saved everyone? You know what I mean? Like you're the reason they won, dude. Like,
well, I don't know.
I didn't care for that.
Spider-Man still gets that, feeling. Like, after all, he's done, he still occasionally feels like that when he's with the Avengers. It's like, dude, you have saved the planet 80 billion times.
I suppose that makes it. Well, and also, I guess I'm being a little bit contradictory now that I'm thinking about it, that I said maybe I shouldn't have said that because I just said, well, he only ggets to be a member because he was there, and then he's like, I don't deserve. Yeah, maybe he's right. Maybe it's like all I really did was push the right button.
Yeah. I don't know.
That's kind of how I felt about it. He didn't really push a button.
The thing is, they're doing the 7 and they're replacing Manhunter with Cyborg. I think that's probably my biggest problem with Cyborg is
that he's not Manhunter.
He's replacing Manhunter. I always figured.
Where is Manhunter in this continuity?
He's in Stormwatch.
Oh, that's right. He's in Stormwatch, which I haven't been reading. That's why I forgot about that.
And I don't know. I don't like Justice League without him involved, and this makes him never involved. Oh, yeah. And I don't particularly care for that. I mean, he was in every version of the Justice League.
Yeah. Manhunter, a lot of Manhunter's role is to be that outside, alien type character. 'Cause of course, it doesn't work with Superman because he's an alien, but he's not an alien because he grew up in America.
Yeah,
so you've got that alien type character who's pretty stoic and not real emotional and doesn't really understand human emotion. What I'm getting at is, Cyborg is here because you need a 7th, but the person who really replaced Martian Manhunter was Wonder Woman. If you think about her characterization in this, that's the closest thing they've got now.
Oh, yeah, that's okay.
You see what I'm saying? The way they're characterizing her, she's the closest thing to Manhunter you have for that personality type in this group.
Yeah, she is an alien. Although, now that they're going to jump to the present, that really shouldn't be a problem.
No. Really. But, I mean, Manhunter was on Earth for a long time, too, and he still is pretty much the same.
That's true.
But I don't know what Wonder Woman is like in her book because I've not read very much of it.
Oh, it's been really good. She seems kind of...
Is she not like this at all? I mean,
no, she's not like that at all.
Oh, okay.
She seems pretty incorporated in the world, actually.
That's sad because I would have liked to have seen this version for a while with this team, and I don't think we're going to get that.
No, we're not.